Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the brand new Amazon Prime TV show Clarksons Farm. Now, last week I put a video up where it was me reviewing the first 2 episodes of this new Amazon TV show. I've now watched the whole series, finished it a couple of days ago, watched it with my wife. We both absolutely thoroughly enjoyed this show. And I can give you a little bit of feedback on the show overall and all 8 episodes. So I won't go into too much depth in regards to the first couple of episodes, because I did review them a little bit more in depth in the previous video, which I will link at the top, and I will also put it on at the end screen as well, so if you want to have a look at those. So the first couple of episodes were basically him setting out fresh in this farm. And if you don't know what this show is about, basically Jeremy Clarkson, he's famous for Top Gear, he's famous for the Grand Tour, and in the UK Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, as well as many other things. And in 2008 he bought a farm. Now in 2018 I think it was, the farmer that he had running the farm retired, and he decided to do it all himself. And this show, a camera crew follows him around for 12 months about, from the time he plants his seeds to the time when he harvests those seeds and everything in between, and it follows all his adventures and escapades. And as you can imagine, with this being Jeremy Clarkson, hilarity ensues, but also this, I think the real strength of this show for me really shines a light on the difficult life that farmers lead. Yes, the show is very humorous and very funny, and makes it an easy watch for that reason, but it also really does show what kind of life farmers lead. And it really does. For the first time, I mean, we see a lot of shows, certainly in the UK, around farming and things like that. We've got Country Fire, we've got other shows constantly showing farming, but it's all like the glossed over version of it, even though they do share their troubles and things like that. This one is a raw, completely transparent approach to the difficulties of running a farm, especially from an amateur's perspective, as Clarkson readily admits that he is, stroke and was. He's by no means a veteran even now, even though he's been doing it now a couple of years. So the first couple of episodes, the first one is about tractoring. He gets himself a new Lamborghini tractor, nobody likes it, etc, etc. The second episode was called Sheeping. He comes up with a genius idea of getting sheep to basically keep the grass levels in his fields down so he doesn't have to mow them, and he thinks he can make a fortune from, you know, selling the lambs and all this kind of stuff. And it actually turns out to be, you know, not a particularly great business decision, but it does give him an awful lot of enjoyment and frustration at the same time. The third episode was called Shopping, and he comes up with what he calls a genius plan of opening his own farm shop on his farm. Now we see this episode, the trials and tribulations of him getting the builders in to build this, especially with all the poor weather that they were getting, all the rain. The builders building this farm shop, and then him eventually opening, having a great day on the opening day, and then the council basically shutting him down because he's got a tin roof and not a slate roof. And that was a common theme in the show, his constant disputes with the council and some of the local residents with some of his crackpot schemes, I suppose you could argue some of them were. But a really good episode. The shopping one. The fourth episode was called Wilding. And I thought this was a really good episode, especially for Jeremy as well, because everyone thinks he's this crazed individual that wants to destroy the environment. In actual fact, this episode focuses very much on the fact that that's not the case at all, and he wants to spend a lot of his time on his land and his farm, like bringing insects back. So he takes some trees down so that the sun can shine on the forest floors. He builds this huge massive pond, fills it with loads of fish, puts like these posts up for the local owls and birds and things like that, and really tries his best to invite wildlife and insects back into his farm, which I thought it was a really fun and interesting episode, this one. Episode 5 was, wow, I mean, not only did he have really bad weather when doing his farm, for the first time. He also had to cope with COVID-19 when he was still very much a rookie on the farm. So this episode, the 5th episode, is called Pandemicking, and he's focusing on how to continue farming during the outbreak of COVID-19. And as you can imagine, it is not particularly easy. So it was really, really good that they obviously addressed it. They certainly had to address it, and they did. The 6th episode was called Melting, and it shows why farmers rely so much on the weather, because when he planted his, when he was planting his seeds and things like that, he couldn't do it because there was so much rain, so he was behind planting, and it was getting close to the harvesting season, and it was too warm. His crops were dying because not a drop of rain had dropped for something like 2 months. So all his crops were dying. So this episode focused on very much the state of his crops and things like that. The 7th episode was called Fluffing, and they are now getting ready to prepare for harvest. Clarkson sends Caleb, his farm manager, to London to try and sell his wasabi leaves, which he'd planted previously. And he did it basically because he knows Caleb can't stand London. He's a real country boy. He's only been to the city once and he hated it. So he sends him to London to try and sell his wasabi leaves and roots to these posh restaurants in London, and it doesn't go particularly well, as you can imagine. And the final episode was called Harvesting, and it speaks for itself. All the fruits of the labour of all the 12 months rests very much on the crops that he needs to harvest. The trouble is, he doesn't have a combine harvester, so he needs to try and rent one. However, everyone else has got the same idea too, locally, to harvest their crops. Can't get hold of a combine harvester. But the really, really good episode. It shows him harvesting and his fields and things like that, and then he sits down with Cheerful Charlie at the end to essentially budget, to go through the budgets for the 12 months to find how much money the farm has made. And it absolutely shocked me, the figures that came back with how much the farm has made in a 12-month period, with the bad weather, both the rain, the 2 months of dry weather and sun, and obviously COVID-19 affected everything. I think you'll be shocked in regards to how much the farm actually made in a 12-month period. I was, Jeremy was, and I'm sure most audience members were. Brilliant the way it shone the light on UK farming. I thought the film, I thought this series was delightful. It was humorous, it was funny, it was educational, really entertaining, really eye-opening, and I think it's one of the most original shows I've seen for a long, long time. And it's a show you definitely need to watch, even if you're not a fan of Clarkson or if you're not a fan of farming. Trust me, you will enjoy this show. It is so entertaining, guys. Very, very strong. 9 out of 10 from me. So that is my review for Clarkson's Farm. Hopefully we'll get another series. Fingers crossed for that. So of course I will be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.